The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Man, I got it my hand in my bag.
Buckeyes and trying to turn to the goal line. Puts the football over.
Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My
Hands to Gilty. He stopped.
You know I'm popping tag.
Bad snap. Bobble. Scooped up. Here come the Spartans. Down the sideline. Racing into the end zone.
He hits it! He hits it! He did it!
This is Sparta!
Nice trip down memory lane, going back to the 2011 Wisconsin game in Spartan Stadium. The legendary rocket pass, Kirk Cousins to Keith Nickel at the end of regulation. Spartans win that game 37-31. Guys, this is Sparta. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, Otis Wiley and Jehuu Caulcrick.
Did you kill me with that?
Coming in today. I mean, it's homecoming week, gentlemen. Homecoming week. Everybody's excited. We're going to see a lot of former players and people who have gone here from years past, decades ago, getting back in East Lansing. Going to have a great time, right?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great time. Homecoming is a special time. You load the kids, the wife in the car, you take them to the old stomping ground, see how it was done back in your day. So it's really exciting. Obviously, we're not having the season that we wanted to have this year, but I think, this is a very winnable game for the Spartans. And, with former guys coming back, hopefully that can draw some extra energy to the players to perform.
Otis?
I'm laughing because Jay said he's packing up the family and taking it to the old stomping grounds. I'm looking at like a lot of people when you drive around, you're going to see familiar faces that you haven't seen in a while. You're going to have like warm embraces. You got to think about COVID, man. COVID kind of put a damper on a lot of our stuff in the past, 2.5 seasons. So it's an opportunity to see familiar faces. You got some Spartan dogs coming back. We got our Spartan dog dinner at the Kellogg after the game. So it's gonna be great, man. I think this is the opportunity to capture the awareness and like the awe of football tailgate homecoming field because our like you said, season's not as fruitful right now, but I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people coming back to campus at East Lansing.
Absolutely. And this year's homecoming theme is Spartans Bring the Magic. Celebrating Spartans around the world, creating real-life magic by making the world a better place. And MSU Hall of Famer, your coach, our coach, my coach, all of us, Jim Bibbs, legendary track coach for Michigan State, the first Black head coach at the university, and the first Black head coach in the Big Ten. Bibbs is going to be here. He's going to be the grand marshal for the parade. It's going to be an exciting time for everyone. Jim, he was a guy. I mean, when you look at Jim Bibbs, his deep commitment to youth and passion for sports has gained the respect of countless colleagues, athletes, parents, and friends nationwide. This year's homecoming parade begins at 6 p.m. on Friday, October 14th. The parade starts at the Hannah Community Center, travels down Abbott to Grand River, and into campus at Farm Lane. For more information, go to homecoming.msu.edu. All right, guys, we're going to get into this game here, and this is going to be brought to you by IHOP, the game day stat breakdown. The 2x2 breakfast combo equals one delicious meal. Enjoy 2 pancakes, 2 eggs your way, and 2 pieces of bacon for only $5. Only at IHOP. Hurry in and enjoy this deal for a limited time. Dine in only. Price and participation may vary. Restrictions apply. Well, gentlemen, a few weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, Wisconsin had a change at the head coaching position. Paul Chryst was relieved of his duties, and interim head coach now, Jim Leonhard, is the guy at the helm, the former defensive coordinator, spent a lot of time in the NFL, and really has had a stellar defense over the last 5 or 6 years in Madison. He goes 1-0 with a big win against Northwestern, 42-7 a week ago.
Yeah, I think overall Wisconsin really likes Jim Leonhard as a head coach. I think if he continues to stay the course, he might not win their side of the division there, but I think if he puts together a culture, the players are going to rally against him. He's going to have that interim title removed and into full head coach. I think that's what a lot of Wisconsin faithful really wanted, to begin with. Chris was just holding pattern there for Leonhard, because at the end of the day, Paul Chryst did not have that bad of a career at Wisconsin, but they wanted one of their homegrown guys. A lot of great memories, playing against Jim Leonhard, against him when he was at Wisconsin, and then turning to being his teammates when we're both with the Buffalo Bills. Jim is very football-oriented guy. He understands the game. He loves the game of football. He wants to study the football, so he's going to have his team prepared to come into Spartan Stadium because he understands what kind of environment it can be.
Yeah, you got to think about, this Coach Tucker's alma mater, man. I mean, it's similar to how we just went out to Maryland and we had Coach Enos playing against him. So it kind of roles the reverse for Coach Tuck, knowing that his Badgers and alma mater coming into East Lansing. I'm not going to steal your shine on the stats here, Stray, but if you look at that last game that the Badgers did to the Wildcats there at Northwestern, it looks like Coach Leonhard is airing that boy out, and he's giving touches to the running back, something that we are experiencing right now. And so, you're looking at 23 attempts rushing to one running back, and then you got 6 touchdowns that are from the receiving core. They look like they're playing free and have nothing to lose mentality. So we have our plate full here this weekend. And as you know, our woes, it's going to be a tough one. So, and Badgers and Spartans, man, that rivalry that was created with that, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins era in the Big Ten championship down there in Indianapolis when they first started to create that, it's good, man. So it's going to be electric, I think.
No doubt about it. And getting into what the defense for Michigan State is going to have to face, let's talk about the Wisconsin offense. And you touched on it there, Otis. You talked about junior quarterback Graham Mertz, guy who's averaging 64.1% of his passes, over 14 yards per completion. He's third best in the Big Ten, good for 19th in the nation. He's got a quarterback efficiency rating of 163.6. This guy is a guy who can throw the ball. They're going to look at Michigan State's weaknesses in that secondary, and he's going to get it out to his receivers. What do you think about that, Otis, as a defensive back specialist?
I am frustrated. I am truly frustrated that quarterbacks are coming in here now and just licking chops like it's easy money right here. It's easy. And so how do we fix it? Is truly, when you look at the Ohio State game, we talked about it, is we can't have our self-inflicting wounds of attention to detail and knowing your assignment, because what he just put on paper and stats last weekend, he's just carrying that momentum into East Lansing, regardless of if it's a away game, road game. So I honestly think that they don't have a backup for sure, because we just saw in the news the backup hit the transfer portal. So you also got to just wear and tear. We got to get to him, man. We have to put pressure on him to help take off the heavy burden for the secondary, because there are some weaknesses that, in order to cover our guys, which you got a wide receiving committee that are getting he's sharing the rock too. So it's equally being shared. So we just got to get to the quarterback to put pressure on him so we can help mistime these balls and these passes, because clearly if we don't, it's going to be another one that we just are not going to be happy with.
When was that? What question? When was the last time you think three people have sat together and talked about Wisconsin football and talked about the pass game first?
I know, because they're historically
It's unusual.
It's unusual.
Yeah.
It's unusual.
Yeah, they usually run that rock.
Which is like, I get it, Chris. Like, we talked about coaches who have success early and then just get complacent. And obviously we know this game is evolving, and it's you gotta evolve, transform, or you're gonna get left behind. And you saw kind of that, how Wisconsin just stayed to what their DNA for the longest of times. But you got to have a stud running back like they usually have. If they have an average running back, it doesn't help. They've always had decent receivers, though, which kind of blows my mind. But they've also been 50-50. So last game, I mean, it was a 50-50 toss-up, from – I mean, Jehuu, if you got 23 attempts, you eating, right?
I'm smiling. I'm loving life. I'm hugging that OC, after the game for getting 23 attempts in the game.
135 yards? Man, come on.
That's a great day at the office.
We can't.
All right, speaking of the running back, you're talking about Braylon Allen, right? I mean, this is a guy who set the world on fire as a true freshman a year ago. As a sophomore, in the last 15 games, the guy's had 100 yards in at least 11 of those games. And over that stretch, he's had 1,853 yards. I mean, this is not an average running back by any stretch of the imagination. And when he reaches 100 yards, the Badgers are 10-1 during that stretch. This goes back to your point, Jehuu, when you talk about the importance of the running back position and being able to run the ball and how that opens up many doors, not only for just the running back, but also for the passing game. Wisconsin seems to have it going, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, go ahead, O.
I'm raising my hand because let's elephant in the room now. Our boy, one of the killer bees.
That's what I was just going to say.
So the question comes up, like, I get why he left, I guess, because clearly Braylon Allen is a stud. And then you got Chaz Malusi, who is out apparently now with a potential injury. He's not going to be there, but as a backup, he's getting touches. But I'll let Jehuu talk about the running back piece, I just wanted to say elephant in the room.
I was going to ask the same question. I was going to say, why do you think Berger transferred? Because he saw you take it as a running back. All right, you sit and you count numbers. You're in the running backs room. You're like, okay, I got this guy here. I got this guy here. I got this guy. There's only so many carries that can go around. So that's what it is. And that's the beauty of Wisconsin football. And I will be, first one I took an official visit to Wisconsin. One of my favorite official visits that I took. I knew they like to run the ball from going back to Ron Dane, when he used to run the ball, PJ Hill, all those, they love the big backs and they love to run the football. And once you do that, and Otis hit it on the head, he said Wisconsin's always had some good receivers. You got Jonathan Orr, who was there, who crushed it. You have Lee Evans, who played there. You have some good receivers, but those guys and they were sneaky good because their run game overshadowed the pass game. But when they're able to be balanced like they are, it really keeps a defense on their heels. It really keeps the linebackers, okay, you have to be true to your reads and you have to be true to your keys. And Otis said it the other day, you got to trust your eyes. You're reading the guards. Is the guard pulling? Okay, it's a run. Is he popping up? It's a pass. You have to read all those things. And Coach Leonard coming in there, he has the mindset. I'm sure when he went in to his first meeting as a head coach, his first staff meeting, he said, guys, we have nothing to lose. All right, let's play free, let's play loose, and at the end of the day, let the chips fall where they may. So I think it's going to be a big test, and a lot of that challenge is going to go on to Michigan State's defensive line. Can they get pressure on the quarterback and get penetration to stop the run game?
Amen, brother. Amen to that one.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, it's going to be a lot about the defensive line for Michigan State to be able to get pressure on the quarterback here. As you just talked about, the Badgers have used 5 different line combinations. The only guy that's the lone starter who's been there throughout every start has been the center, Joe Tippmann, the junior offensive lineman that started every game this season. But they put together their best effort against Northwestern. Now, we're not saying Northwestern is one of the elites in the nation or anything like that, but they did put up 193 yards on the ground and didn't allow a sack. Quarterback was sitting back there pretty much untouched all week last week. I mean, all day last week. Graham Mertz, because of that offensive line, and offensive line play at Wisconsin is legendary by just name, right?
Oh my goodness! Like
that's a running back's dream. You see those hogs in front of him.
I'm talking about trouble, man. Like those dudes. It was always Wisconsin and Iowa that I'm like, I gotta go in the weight room and put on at least 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, yo. I gotta eat triple meals because it is an aggressive, hardcore battle, man. Those dudes, they can run, they are physical, and I feel like they never get tired. Like I feel like that's the DNA in those two programs in Iowa and Wisconsin. I mean, straight. You hit it on with the center being the lone O-lineman. That means to me, and you could probably correct me if I'm wrong, that guy is the smartest offensive lineman. It's the strong nucleus that he's communicating, basically telling all the other guys where to go. I mean, talk about the centerpiece of it, knowing that this guy is the strong nucleus of that offensive line.
Oh, for sure. 100%. That's what the center does. That's why he's probably the most valuable guy that they have right now, is because he understands all 5 positions along that offensive line. And that is a valuable spot. He's got to call out the passing protections. He's got to call out running styles, whatever combination blocks they have, be it a zone, gap scheme, inside, outside zones, all those things that you have to have and be calm under pressure in Big Ten play. If you look at the past centers from Wisconsin, they've gone on to be not only NFL draft picks, but NFL all pros. I mean, this is a very valuable position at Wisconsin. We talk about the offensive line play, the tackles. I mean, there's always a first-round tackle. They put out linemen like Alabama puts out offensive linemen. When you think about pure offensive line play for Wisconsin, they do a phenomenal job. And it looks like Leonard is going to continue that, although he is a defensive coach. When we segue over to the defensive side of the ball for Wisconsin, you look at who their sack master is, and that's junior outside linebacker Nick Herbig. He's Associated Press second team All-American. He's tied for second in the Big Ten right now and 10th in the country with 5 sacks. He's a guy who had 9 sacks a year ago, ranked 4th in the Big Ten last year, and right now has 46 yards for the sack, is 4th in the nation. This is a guy who gets after the ball. Gary.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why this week it's absolutely pivotal and huge that we get a heavy dose of Elijah Collins in the game, not only because of the running game, because Elijah Collins is our best pass protector in the backfield. It's that simple. You watch Michigan State games, you see when they're throwing the ball late in the game, Elijah Collins is in there. When they're in the 2-minute drill, Elijah Collins is the one in there because he's the most stout at pass protection. He understands it more. So that's why it's important to have him in there and have that balance of run and pass so defenses can't key when he's in, hey, it might be it's a pass or, different things like that. So that's why it's important to have him there. But Michigan State have their hands full with the quote unquote sack master. I can't give that name away because our guy, Jonell St-Deke, is the true sack master. But they're going to have to do, maybe put an extra guy on him, running backs chip while they're coming out of the backfield. But that's what they're going to have to do. But with that, in order to stop the pass rush, you have to have a little bit of aggressive offensive scheme. If they want to be aggressive with the defensive line and their defense, screen game will be well, quick game will be well, and run into the blitz. Run the football.
And Otis, for you, last week Michigan State came up with the first interception of the season with Charles Brantley taking that ball back, the interception for C.J. Stroud to the house. Wisconsin brings in some ball hawks, man. I mean, you talk about junior safety Kamoe Latu, who snagged a pair of interceptions last week against Northwestern, which moves Wisconsin to a total of 10 interceptions on the season. That ranks number 1 in the Big Ten, tied for number 3 in the country. Being a ball hawk, Otis, it kind of helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that stat and that read, I don't even got to add to it. I mean, that is the number 1 weapon for anybody's program, that you got guys out there just sniffing blood, running around like just bandits, man. Like you know that you can't sit here and loft the ball. You can't throw underhand. You can't underthrow it. You got to be spot on. If you ain't spot on, you need to take a sack or you need to throw it away. And you got to be smart with that decision maker. Obviously, I didn't play quarterback, but I've read a lot of quarterbacks' eyes, shoulders, and it's an opportunity for Peyton to tell you how to level up and get that decision-making precision back to where it was last year. But those first 2 games too. But this is the opportunity for him to truly, like, this is almost like not a put up or shut up opportunity for this game, but I think it's an opportunity for him to showcase the Peyton Thorne coach mindset that we've been talking about, his leadership. We got to bring that up. So it's the best part is you're going against one of the top secondaries in the nation. Let's level up. Let's level up and see what we can do.
Yeah, and that's why for Peyton Thorne and his receivers, communication is going to be key. They have to be on the same page, Otis, because if you have secondary guys out there that are ball hawks swarming to the football and flying to the football, you and your receivers have to be on the same communication wavelength. Your offensive line have to give you time. You have to do time and routes with your receivers, because the receivers, they have an advantage over the DBs. They know where they're going. They know if it's a comeback, you're going to 12 back to 10. So that has to be there. So everyone has to be on the same page, especially against a defense and a secondary like Wisconsin's.
For any secondary, the best friend of any defensive back would be the pass rush. And when we want to talk about pass rush, we're going to bring on a pass rush legend in Michigan State history, JEREL WORTHY. What's up, JEREL? How you doing, man? Happy, anniversary to the big win that we had over Wisconsin. You had a pretty good game yourself.
Man, well, collectively, man, we had some adversity, obviously on the field, off the field. We had a lot of things going around in our organization that we had to put to the side in order for us to get a win. But, man, just to think about and hear about those memories that you guys are running back through my head, man, it just shows that, we've come a long way as a program. We understand that we're taking our punches right now during this year, but just to see where we've been able to grow from where we started is just an unbelievable feeling. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. I'm excited to grace the show. A lot of Spartan Dog legends in the room, man. So I'm definitely honored for sure.
Man, Stray, Stray, I'm glad you brought. That was a nice little segue leading them into it. I forgot my towel because JEREL is the most sweating man I've ever seen in my life. More than you, Stray. More than you. Borrowed each other's towel, man.
Intense, man. That's intense.
Yeah, that dude stays carrying a towel with him. I saw
He does.
around the hotel. I'm like, bro, it's 60 degrees in this hotel. It's between him and Coach Tuck. I don't know who sweat more.
Look, listen, we are always dialed in. Like, what you guys got to understand, no matter what, we're always dialed in, man. I'm a lively person, so when I get in those atmospheres that around my brothers, guys that I've definitely grinded with, man, I get a little adrenaline rush, man. So I got to keep a towel on me at all times. Right now, I'm cool though, you know. So yeah.
With the swag, got that swag on, man.
Right.
Look, I figured, I didn't know. Look, all of y'all dress well. Y'all all come to the game like nice and red. Look, so I didn't know, especially Otis. Look, I didn't know.
Yeah, Jerel, man. Like, so let's talk. We just before you came on, man. We were talking about how each level on the defense. You know, you and I played obviously under Coach D and Narduzzi, and so we always knew that if the front line is getting pressure, that just trickle down effect, and the success rate of us getting off the field is obviously way more than what it is if you don't get the rush. But I mean, let's talk about, and I wish we could play it. Let's talk about that JEREL Worthy get off, like the timing that you were like. I don't know how you did it, but it was so strategic, so magical that you would get off and centers be like, "Yo, like what just happened?" Like, talk about it. Yeah, talk about it. And then as you talk about it, you've been watching the Spartans and defense, and our defensive line play is not as up to par as it used to be. Right now, we're taking our lumps, but talk about what you're seeing too on what they need to do better to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with I would say from the things that I went through is when you're playing in an attack 4-3 defense, a lot of that stuff is skill, but it's anticipation and understanding what an offense is going to give you. One of the things that allowed me to have such a successful get off is really that Monday that I was able to get up there in the office with a lot of the coaches. And I understood what was coming that week as far as, you know, plays, as far as what offenses like to run, the tendencies and things of that nature. So, you know, from having, yes, talent, but honing in some skills as far as learning how to study an offense and understanding what plays they like to run and those weak points where I actually can take a chance and try to get in the backfield. Because, you know, at the end of the day, even though my get off was really, you know, it was nice. There was also times in which, you know, I had to be I would say a person that worked well within the whole parameters of the defense. And so, you know, I couldn't just be continuously running upfield and flying upfield all the time because, you know, they'll leave gaping holes. And I know that Greg and I know Greg and those guys behind me never liked when I was definitely doing my own thing. So I just wanted to, it had to work within the parameters of our scheme. And so Coach Narduzzi and Coach Barnett, Coach Gill, these guys were able to teach me the right moments in which I can get off on the football and be effective for our football team. What I'm seeing that it just transitioned over to this year, I see that just from a defensive line perspective, we get a lot of pressure from the outside guys, a lot of the defensive ends, but we're starting to see a lot of the defensive tackles just in the interior not be as aggressive upfield. I think that first, second down opportunities where you're really trying to establish the line of scrimmage is where a lot of our defensive linemen are just not taking advantage. They kind of wait until we get to third down where essentially a lot of our hard work has to get done on that first, second down. Like one thing Coach Gill taught us is that like we've got to earn the right to rush the passer. And I think that, you know, defensive ends, they kind of, you know, with play action pass, you know, the way that the game has changed, they have a little bit more opportunities to rush the passer. But when you're in that interior, man, we've got to establish the line of scrimmage a lot better than what we're doing right now. And that attacking 3 technique is essentially key to an attacking 4-3, 4-2-5 defense. And right now we just need to see a little bit more enthusiasm by guys in the middle. They have great girth, great size. I mean, these guys are, you know, essentially like pro NFL style bodies at a collegiate level. We just need to start seeing those guys display their speed, their athleticism, and their strength when it comes to getting in the backfield.
That was a great answer, bro. Like that was a great balance, breakdown.
Well, question. I mean, you know, from an offensive line perspective, I could talk about that too with you, JEREL. You know, a guy coming off the ball and just trying to bull rush. the interior 3 linemen. I mean, that's a dream for us. We wish guys would bull rush all day. There's very few human beings that can bull rush effectively to the point where, it makes us have to worry about it, because all we do is anchor in. You're going to try to push pull. That ain't going to work either if the guy's any good, especially against an offensive line like Wisconsin. Now, what you would do, like in college sports, defensive linemen are pretty good when they have 1 or 2 moves. I mean, you're looking at a swim move, but you should be able to get off the ball and get a swim move. Obviously the rips, the spins, those kinds of things, being able to spin and counter. And now, everybody's talking about the long arm, right? You see that being effective from a defensive end, coming in with a tackle that's not, hit that inside peck and drive him into the quarterback. But I see like our interior line is trying to do, I don't know if they're not converting from run to pass very quickly. They're trying to do a bull rush / long arm, and it's just very slow. They're not getting pushed in the pocket, and they're not getting off blocks. So the quarterback's basically having a picnic back there, right?
Yeah, I think right now, just from my perspective, I think we start to see a lot of the defensive linemen just kind of being they're not moving as much. I would say, having 3 techniques, knifing down to the A gap, running twist on the inside versus the run. I think eventually when you have your nose and your 3 technique attacking, setting pressure in that A and B gap, it really allows a lot of the blitzes to open up. Like everyone knows hot main magic, where you have the cross dog in the middle with the Mike and the Will linebacker. Essentially, that only works when you have a 3 technique and a nose guard that is athletic enough to get upfield and create that type of pressure. Right now, we're seeing a lot of the interior guys, when they run that specific blitz, old lineman guards have an opportunity to pass block the defensive lineman and push him out towards the tackle, and still have enough athleticism to come back inside and guard the cross dog in the middle. And so for us, that's where we need to start seeing the 3 technique and the nose really take advantage. When that offensive guard passes us off and he essentially leaves us, that's when we need to be turning our hips and headed back towards the quarterback. And so for me, realistically, the only way that we allow we correct these things is more so in practice. And I just think at the end of the day, we need to start to showcase. We need to start to show and showcase a little bit more of just some older clips, possibly, of just where the technique was successful. Not even necessarily just myself, because there's been, hellified 3 techniques that are played before me. There's been guys that have had success at this in this scheme of defense even prior and after my departure from Michigan State as well. So really, I think if going back and showing how the defense works in its entirety, you need those front 4 guys up there raising hell that gives the guys in the back end the opportunity to actually make plays on the football. And come up and actually be effective in the pass game. Moving guys around up front, like I said before, having a variety of different run stunts, that opens up your pass rush stunts, and also realistically being a little bit more creative in the secondary. I know that, our overall scheme is just trying to make things look the same from a cover 4 perspective, and we try to roll and we move cover 2 and cover 3, and we're trying to roll and do things I would say after the ball is snapped. But I think primarily if we can just get a little bit better at our disguises a little bit and moving guys around and just kind of allowing them to play a little bit looser instead of more so just kind of stuck on the hashes, then I think at the end of the day, then that will allow us to just have more fun, right? Because at the end of the day on defense, it's not like structure like offense where every piece has to, go in place for us to score. Like defense, we can be successful in a chaotic environment. Everything doesn't necessarily have to go right for us in order for us to have success. We just need to be running to the football with all 11 hats, and essentially some things come our way just off pure effort and want to. And so that's one of the things I pointed out earlier this year was just really the level of talent hasn't necessarily changed with Michigan State. If anything, it's gotten better from some of the recruits that we've had coming in from the transfer portal and things of that nature. But it's really more so the desperation. Like the will, the want to, and guys really scratching and clawing for every single play, every single opportunity, every single possession. I know that, Otis, JU, Jason, you guys we've all felt the pressure of having somebody just as talented as us, right there next to us, that increased our level of play within practice, within games, how I prepared, my walkthrough, everything. And I just think that right now, we have the level of talent, but it's just we're not seeing the level of desperation right now when it comes to making the extra block. A guy's running away from you, laying out, trying to grab an ankle, trying to get a heel. You know what I'm saying? When we got a screen play, offensive lineman downfield, trying to be as aggressive as possible at the next level. And I think once we start to fine tune some of those little details, then we can have our way with a lot of the competition in our conference right now, because it's not the fact that we don't have talent. It's just finding ways to get all that talent to mesh to where we can be as effective as possible.
That's a great point that you make there, Jerel. I have a question to that, because you talked about, that desperation and that extra effort and everything. But one thing that I saw, watching defenses when I played, watching you guys when you played, even in practice, there was a lot of people having fun on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
I'm not seeing that, right now. Do you think, obviously the college game have changed a little bit, with NIL, transfer portal, and everything. Do you think people are starting to treat this, especially the guys in the defense, as a job, as opposed to just going out having fun and the next level is going to come? What do you think about that?
I think the NIL definitely has changed the mindsets of a lot of the incoming players. It's going to change the mindsets of future players where it comes to how they treat themselves. You'll start to see a lot of players run themselves more like a business than an actual amateur athlete, and in some cases that's okay. But at the end of the day, it's still a child's game that you pay adults to play.
Right.
And so the love of the game, the love of and passion that comes with football, it's got to more so be instilled in you. I don't think there's something that actually can just draw you in to want to go run through somebody's face. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no amount of money realistically that is going to just, like, if you don't necessarily have that direct passion, that's just going to all of a sudden give you a passion and want to go, hey man, look, let's go do Oklahoma drill for the rest of the practice. Like, there's, it's got to be within you. It's got to be something that's organically built. And I think at the end of the day, like, we have a lot of guys within our locker room that are actually built like that, and that actually represent what Spartan Nation wants them to be. But I think at the end of the day, right now, we're just not seeing a lot of the guys. We're just not seeing it happening at critical points of the game, as well as once we start to see a little bit of adversity. I remember last year, one thing I realized and I loved about last year's team is that, like, there was times where they got hit in the mouth. Like, it wasn't like, there was we were just blowing guys out and the flea flicker worked every game and things like that. There wasn't, what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a direct, like, we were just running away with things. But when we got hit in the mouth, and coach might call a timeout, or there was a TV timeout, or there was something that allowed us to regroup, you saw guys not from the coaching perspective, but from the player perspective. Hey, let's come in. Let's bring it in. Let's talk about it. What is going on, and why are we not performing at the high level? And then all of a sudden, when you saw guys come back together, you see what happened against Michigan. We can be down in a late game and come back against a really good opponent, because, again, even though I didn't like to see it, those guys ended up in the college football playoffs, which goes to show that at the end of the day, we have to do every single detail right in order for us to be successful. We don't have the type of, I would say, the 5-6 star guys where we can just be like, hey man, get out, man, go ahead and let me get you another guy. Now, obviously, we will be there at one point. We're going to be there at some point with Tuck and the way they're recruiting and how aggressive they're doing things. I have no doubt that we're going to be able to have that guy that we can just, hey man, hey, you run a 4-2, all right, no problem, get out. We got a 4-3 guy. We can do just as well with him. And I think, it's just creating a level of competition within practice, creating a level of competition within the NIL. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter about who's the highest paid guy on the team. Like, you have to create that level of competition within everything you do nowadays, just because we just see this generation not necessarily be have an attachment to one single thing, like how we grew up, where it's like, all right, I got my race car, I got my favorite jersey, I got this. Like, there's nothing that's going to separate me from that. Where we're in this generation now with so many options that they have at their disposal, like it's hard to get them to buy in collectively over the long term. And then so for coaches, they have to find creative ways to increase that level of competition every single day. And that's what's going to draw guys in, and that's what's going to help build camaraderie. So I think at the end of the day, we have the right coaches in mind to do that. It's just got to be something that's honed in on every single day. And it's got to come from the players, because, I mean, this coaching staff has produced players at everywhere they go. And I see a guy like Harlan Barnett, Otis, you've been in the same room with him. You understand how detailed he is. You understand how detailed he is. No, he's extremely. No, but this is what I'm saying. No, he's extremely detailed.
Yeah.
I've seen guys that have might not even have had a shot to make our roster get with him, and they are now playing at a high level, or even on Sundays. And so for us, what's different? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's extremely different from a guy that has produced, at least 3 first rounders that I know of, and then all of a sudden a handful of guys that are still competing at a high level. There should be no drastic drop off like how it's been the last 2 years. And so, obviously that's a combination of just the connection between players and coach, but then also that also goes back to players and realistically buying in and wanting to be extra and do extra and set aside, man. Like, once you get that money in college, it's hard for guys to really like buy in. Like, it's hard for them to really see another level of success, I would say, like their future. You feel what I'm saying? Like, one thing about us, we knew, okay, if I do well with this, if I listen to my coaches, if we perform well as a team, the higher our team goes, the more opportunities each one of us individually get. Like, then that's where people don't understand it. Like, we might have an NIL guy over here making this amount of money, but then you might have the guy that plays directly next to him trying to fend for food. So at the end of the day, it's a lot different now. And I think you just have to find creative ways to build camaraderie and as well as increase competition.
Now, you said something there, Jerel, a minute ago. You talked about, what is going to make you want to run through somebody's face, right? And now that, to me, is the only place on the planet where you can condone the V word, and that's violence, right? Is on the football field. And that there's no weight classes. There's really not. There's some limitations of what you can do. Obviously, you can't kick people, throw people around, but you can do just about everything else to people in that game. And having, even on the offensive side of the ball, for being a good offensive lineman, you have to play what we call on the verge of a rage, right? You got to be controlled, but almost raging. On defense, it's like junkyard dog mentality out there. I mean, like you said, you want to try to stay in your lane a little bit, but you gotta be that guy, almost like a Tasmanian devil, like to be unblockable, where it's like, okay, this guy's violent at the end of the day. But if you're just, and I don't know if it's the NIL, if it's neutral thinking, if it's the way kids are right now, but you're talking about finding a creative way. What is it that was within you that you said, you know what, like, besides maybe like getting motivated for the future of the NFL, I think if you took that away, you still was going to be you. You still going to have to get off. You were still going to try to beat the center guard to the point of attack and get to the quarterback. So what is it that you had in your mental makeup before you got to Michigan State that allowed you to propel through college ranks and into the NFL?
To be honest with you, man, I was blessed to play with a lot of great players. And I think, I had a great mindset, but there was a lot of players that helped me like really shape and groom my mentality until to actually grow the confidence to know I can be at that level. From a high school level, I think, I was able to play with guys that went to Ohio State, Michigan State. Cincinnati. Coach D was coming from Cincinnati. So there was other recruits that were, a part of the regime before me that helped groom that mindset and mentality. And then realistically, an important factor was, my parents struggled. I realized that, when I first got to Michigan State, I had to sit out a while just because of some transcripts and in a school that wanted funding, or not funding, but money. I would say old tuition that I owed. So they wouldn't allow me to be a part of Michigan State, even though I was on campus. I actually had to sit away from the team for a while. Going through those hardships, my parents, things of that nature, that helped, like I would say, grow my will to fight and understand that nothing was given. Coach D sticking by me when I had a torn ACL during my senior year and still giving me an opportunity to come up to Michigan State, knowing that at that time I was still damaged goods, and he gave me an opportunity to still live out my dream. I think never taking something like that for granted actually helped increase my mentality. But then once I got to Michigan State, man, you're talking about, Kershaw, you got Trevor Anderson, you got Orrin Wilson, Colin Nilly, you've got, Greg Jones, B. Long. There was guys that were legitimately in front of me that helped create that dog because even though we actually worked well as a defensive line, we were in such competition with each other that, to be honest with you, we would be in the meetings rooms like, man, you got finished, you got folded. And we would just always compete against each other on an everyday basis. My talent was on display, but to be honest with you, I have to credit a lot of my teammates around me that helped mold and shape my mentality, man. I think, talent is what got me to the front door. But my ability to adapt and learn and grow into a skill and really displayed by my teammates before me is what actually helped propel me to that next level and be sustainable at the next level.
And Jerel, you came. What year did you come in again?
So I came in 2008. You guys were coming off the bowl game with Matt Ryan and Boston College.
Yeah.
I watched that game, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was on crutches and an immobilizer watching that game. I was supposed to go down to Florida and watch it. And what was so funny is my aunt went to the game without me. Like my aunt.
She was on a recruiting trip.
Man, look, they hit me with this, man, and I'm talking about they were gone, and they sent me pics from the game, and I'm at the house and all laid up, and so, I came in 08. I had an opportunity to stay one final year in 2012, but I opted out to kind of have an opportunity to pursue my dreams, man. But I think, to be honest with you, I miss college so much. I just miss just the pure. Obviously, it's not as pure now. I would say it's a little bit more saturated now just because of, obviously the NIL. But realistically, I just miss every part of the process, man, that we went through. And there was a lot of life lessons that I was able to learn during my time on that campus that actually shaped me into the man I am today and allows me to go in other spaces and be dominant. Every Michigan State Spartan that I've met outside of football or in a different environment and setting, the same fundamentals that we've learned, the same mindset, the same Spartans will never die thing is really it really resonates in a lot of Michigan State alumni across this country. So I would say I made a great decision, man, being a part of a great program, great organization like Michigan State.
Jerel, you real quick. So, we started this podcast because we all know it. Life is bigger than football. So we started it because, it's the familiar voices of guys who wore the green and white, went through the highs and lows. Every year you got injuries and try to battle test and go through stuff. But talk about what you're doing now in your profession, your work 9 to 5, but your entrepreneurship, because I know you got things cooking, but kind of tell Spartan Nation and tell like what you're doing right now.
Yeah, man. So since transitioning from the NFL, I officially retired in 2020. But now I had an opportunity to work with an NFL transitions program called Ascending Athletes. And one of the great things about that is they have an opportunity to get you connected with several different Fortune 500 companies. And so you have an opportunity to interview with these guys, share your dreams, your goals, and things of that nature, what you want to do. And I have the privilege of getting connected with Kiewit. Kiewit is a national engineering contractor, which, obviously you would have to talk to a guy like Ross Weaver that we went to school with. He went to
roommate.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like Ross went to school for engineering. I technically don't have an engineering background, but a lot of the skill sets, a lot of the processes in which we've learned throughout sports, the ability to speak, the ability to to meet a challenge head on, is really a lot of the characteristics that a lot of companies are looking for at the next level. And so for me, it was really a blessing to have an opportunity to interview with these guys. And so for now, I do a lot of business development for this contractor in Kiewit, in which we are working on increasing our stadium infrastructure footprint. So for us, that essentially means building stadiums. And so our company did SoFi Stadium out in LA, Arizona Cardinals, Gillette Stadium as well in New England. And so it's a growing market that sports is really taking over the world. So a lot of people need to understand there's so much investment in the sports, women's sports, sports that have kind of been bottom of the barrel are now rising to the top. I mean, you see LeBron James, Tom Brady, and those guys investing in sports like pickleball. You start to see the women's national soccer league increasing and having stadiums that are specifically for women's soccer. And for me, I'm learning about sports from a completely different vantage point, where I used to be in the arena. I would have my helmet on. I used to be the attraction. I used to be the one that people come to see. And now I'm finding out ways to help connect my company and what I do now to other to I would say fans and really just learn what that whole process takes and realistically the amount of effort it takes to actually put on just a performance like a college game or NFL game and things of that nature. And there's so many people involved that that like contribute to just our success. And so at the end of the day, like, I'm real humbled to be in this space. I understand that, there's not a lot of guys that have an opportunity to transition in the field that I'm in. And so really right now, I'm just doing the very best that I can to learn and really take a lot of the tools and traits that I have with football, the ability to communicate, the ability to work with people that you have never met before, because that's really what football is. I mean, we all come from different communities and backgrounds, but for some strange reason, we end up working well together and finding ways to be successful. Whether it was, and it doesn't really matter about how we were raised, what our parents cooked for us. I mean, we had a dude on our football team, Hoover. I know he never ate a cheeseburger before. Like at Michigan, like my man never ate a cheeseburger. I'm and I'm talking about
8-year eligibility. Who man? Who 8 years?
Right.
Who man? When he told me that though, man, I'm not gonna lie, I can't forget it to this day, man. It was like, man, I never had a cheeseburger. We were like in year 3, but this dude was.
Where'd you take him to get a cheeseburger? Where'd you?
What was man? Say that one more time.
It wasn't Dagwood, was it?
No, it wasn't Dagwoods. It wasn't Dagwoods. But I didn't take him to get a cheeseburger yet, man. But I know that he needed one though. He definitely needed one. But Hoop, but it's because what's funny about Hoop though, Hoop would literally go from like a big offensive tight end looking guy to all of a sudden we'd be in the summer and he'd have a whole 6-pack. And I know like it would just be astonishing to Coach Manning and Jeff and Sally and all those guys in the training room, like how he was able to drop weight, cut weight. And I guess, shoot, he never had a cheeseburger, so he can do whatever he wanted.
Right.
But just to stay on topic, man, like, I know that, I had an opportunity to just transition to a whole new space, and learning sports from a different perspective, from a more business-like perspective. Realistically, my goal is I would love to be a general manager one day of a professional team, and honestly give a guy an opportunity to live out his dreams like mine, just because I've been through a ton of experiences, from being a high draft pick to having to go to another team and proving yourself, to, being with the Buffalo Bills 3 years. And my first year was there with Rex Ryan, and Rex was like, hey man, listen, you're working so damn hard in practice, I gotta play you. Like, so I got at night, and just like, just from a guy that is known for hard work, that's known for like stepping up and coming to, with his lunch pail, like just to hear that and receive that opportunity was really it was really a humble moment for me. So I want to be able to do that at some point in time in my life. But as far as recreational things, man, I'm just hanging out with my family. My son is hopefully he's either the next next Jerry Rice, next quarterback, because he loves offense. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ever since I've had him out on my 7-on-7 teams and traveling, he loves offense. He loves the scores. He loves all the little things they do over there. He loves all that. He loves doing the gritty and everything. So, for that, man, just, recreational time, man, I just spend as much time with my family as possible and trying to enjoy as many moments as we can. And like I said, I've got a youth program, Metro 7, that I work hand in hand with Orrin Wilson. And we just try to give kids opportunities to compete, man. I think kids really need outlets nowadays, like direct outlets. And we just try to give them that.
Jerel, like you mentioned that NFL transition, the program there, that's something that doesn't get enough credit. I was a product of that program as well, transitioning from playing to the professional world. And it definitely helped me get to where I'm at now. But, that's something a lot of athletes, need to realize, that the game's going to end at some point, and those networking and those connections, is going to go a long ways. You mentioned Rex Ryan. I was fortunate to have him as a coach with the Jets. And then you mentioned Buffalo. What is there not to love about Buffalo? That's my hometown. I played there. Let's just sprinkle a little love on Bills Mafia right now.
Got to, man. Listen, it's one of the best places in the world. When I say, I was
the world, Craig, the world.
Man, I'm telling you, listen.
Wow.
Like I want you to understand, especially as far as a guy that's playing in a city like that. In college, man, everybody roots for you there. I mean, I'm talking about there's tailgates for hours. I was fortunate enough to play with two organizations in the National Football League that were similar to that, with Green Bay and Buffalo. Like, when you have these smaller cities, people are a little bit more intimately drawn into your success, like your highs, your lows, like they feel they're directly a part of that. So, when I was a part of the team that went back to the playoffs after, it was like a drought of like 17 years. Yeah, we were like the highest drought. It was like, just to see that and embrace, the fans in the community, knowing how close a lot of those teams were. It was a great feeling. And so, man, they've got WWE type things out there with the chairs and the tables. And like, when you walk across like the RV lot and the tailgate lot, it's like it's like a mosh pit. Like it's like, man, I'm telling you, if you're not wearing Bills Mafia gear, then you're definitely going to be in for a world of trouble. But it's an atmosphere like no other, and they travel well. So wherever we're playing, they are trying to sell out the stadium. They're actually gonna ship their own beer that's homegrown from Buffalo, like out to the spot too. So
and their own tables they'll ship too.
Hey, look, and then wherever they go, they will buy out all the tables too. No, so look, that when they played last year for the playoffs, What was it? I think it was they played in Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah.
All of the tables were bought out from all the Walmarts locally. Like they bought all the folding tables just ready to celebrate and break those things down. So, I mean, Otis, I'm telling you,
we need that in Spartan in East Lansing, huh?
I'm telling you, they do things at a much different level, and it's it's still safe, but I'm not gonna say it's not safe, not a safe environment, but it's a rowdy environment. It's kind of like like a WWE wrestling type, Raw type Monday night, like crazy ordeal. They get wild.
You say a 17-year playoff drought, and still this fan base was that connected and that rabid about the Bills?
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm talking about, they're connected from every part of your life, man, from, the success with your kids at school to, the things that you do in the community. One thing about it is you got to understand, like, realistically, the real true fans of Buffalo are actually downtown Buffalo where it originally started. And so a lot of our supporters are in, I would say underserved communities, urban communities, and where the original Rock Power was with O.J. Simpson and things like that. They understand and remember the actual glory days of the Buffalo Bills. Then you go out to where they are now in Orchard Park and Jim Kelly going to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. They remember a lot of the highs, and then they remember a lot of the lows too, though. I can't lie to you. So as far as just to see where they are now and actually having a quarterback for the next 15, 20 years, and that, just some of the things that he's doing at that level is outstanding.
Yeah, and one last thing before I know we got to let you go here, but you hit on it a little bit there, and that's we see in youth sports. There's a lot of darkness over youth sports. People get into youth sports for the wrong reasons. You get these, former players, or not even former players, guys that wish they played, are running these youth organizations and, misusing these kids and treating these kids. I want to compliment you because I follow along and, you're the Metro.
Yes, sir. Metro 7. Yep.
Metro 7 League there. And I listen to the videos and stuff. You are teaching these kids life lessons. And, I really appreciate that. And it goes a long ways. And, that big ups to you. Big ups to Oren Wilson. That's a great thing for all the other stuff that goes on with youth sports. You guys are doing it right and preparing these kids. Big ups to you for that, man.
Well, thank you. At the end of the day, I wouldn't be standing here without a Harlan Barnett, without a Ted Gill, without a Narduzzi, without a Coach D. I wouldn't be standing here without guys like pulling me to the side and talking to me about how writing out my goals are important, or actually wanting to do something well for my family. And so I think at the end of the day, kids don't, especially this generation, don't understand the type of power that they have at their disposal. So if we can just essentially teach these kids how to use their platform in the right way, how to consume the proper content, like not just crazy content, but how they can really consume things that are going to help them at the next level, then if we get one or two kids that are better than us, then we've done our job.
Man. And you're grown up, brother. Hey, look at
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since Case Hall, boy.
I see you, dog. I see you.
Always good to see you, Drill, man. That was a fantastic interview, man. We appreciate you.
I'm coming up there this weekend.
Man.
I'm coming up there.
You got tickets.
Listen, I'm hanging out. Look.
We need to set you up. You good? What's up? You good?
I think so. I think I might be, but regardless, I'm hanging with y'all boys. So we gonna have a great time, man. Great opportunity. It's a great homecoming, man. So I'm excited to see you guys for sure.
All right, man.
Can't wait. Man.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir, guys.
Proud of you, man. We speak for not only ourselves, but the rest of Spartan Nation, man. Extremely proud of you and the man you've become, man. Good luck to you as you continue in your career and taking care of that beautiful family of yours, man.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much, man. Y'all my boys forever, man. Spartan Dogs.
I got some terrible towels waiting for you, bro.
Keep one for at the Spartan Dog dinner. Keep one, man. Keep one.
All
right, fellas.
All right, brother. Take care.
Appreciate it. Man, great interview, man. JEREL Worthy. Definitely Spartan legendary defensive lineman, pass rush extraordinaire and has gone on to transition in life and is still winning the game.
Definitely is. Great player, great person. What he's become, that you like Otis said, man, you've grown up. It's just that maturation process that you see, and you just can't help but cheer, your former teammates, your former dogs, on when you see them, having success and doing well. Big ups to him. Really appreciate him coming down, and really appreciate him shining light on Bills Mafia too, so you guys can know that. Hey,
oh man, so Jay, Choo-Choo's not alone here. We hear a lot here. We're gonna bring all kinds of former Bills and tell us how great that fan base is.
Right. So you hit a thing there. All right. So let me tell you this. My first game, because I was with the Niners and went to Buffalo. Buffalo was 1-7, and we played the Lions we played the Browns. The Browns were 0-8 that year. It was a cold November game. Snow. The field had a sheet of ice. If you fall, it's gonna cut you and rip your skin out. I go up there, I'm like, man, and I grew up in Buffalo, but I forgot. I was out a little bit. Went out there ran out the tunnel, sold out, 75,000 fans there. Win or lose, they're riding. And that's why we need to have a program that rides win or lose.
So you learn from experience. See, Spartan Nation, Jehuu is speaking from experience. That's all.
Right.
Not saying you're wrong, but he's not wrong either.
Right. Listen, reason I asked JEREL was when he came in, because I remember when he came in. But Jehuu, do you remember when we went in 2007, we went to go play Wisconsin? And do you remember when we got back and what Coach D did to us in the locker room? Do you remember it?
I remember when we were going to the game and dancing. I remember that.
No, so that was great though, because Coach D was like, I remember he prepped us. When they played that jump around song, I better see everybody on the sideline jumping around. You see Coach D jump around. That's the swag. Right?
Oh, so this is what happened. That the defense was on the field when at the end of the third quarter. So it's.
It was live, man.
Looking out there, defense is going. People crip walking, getting it. So I'm like, I'm on the sidelines, right? And we're down 7 at this point. And I think it was a shock in Wisconsin because they're like, this is our song. So they started dancing, and it was like dance battles. So I was like, man, I got to find my way into this. And so I'm on the sideline, and I'm getting it. And I think I don't know how to cripple, but I'm trying. And then all of a sudden, Coach D, because you know how Coach D can flip that switch. He's like, Jehuu. And I was like, oh, man, I've done it now. I look at him, and he's like, let's get it.
He started dancing too.
Yeah.
Oh, listen. So this is when Coach D could flip the switch. This is what he taught us getting out on the field, is that you got to turn it off, turn it on, right? So we lose the game. We should have won that, but we lost the game. We come back, and I believe it was Sunday. It was that Sunday. When we report back in to watch film, I remember he brought everybody into the locker room and was like, basically, the reason why we're losing and we're doing this is look at the locker room. Look around. I mean, the locker room was atrocious. You had dirty drawers, socks everywhere. Like, it was so dirty. And he was like, it's about the attention to detail. And when you think about it, man, like Coach D was training us, man, for like well beyond this obviously game that we just lost to Wisconsin and going to the next week. But we're like, man, Coach D care about all the small things so much where he just preached it. But he was like, we in here he's like, this being better be spick and span before we go out there to the practice field and everybody clean it up. You know how you tell your parents to go clean your room, you throwing stuff under the bed, everybody throwing their stuff in. I remember he walking around, looking at it, inspecting, and like he was like, your house got to be clean, right? The house got to be clean. So when we go out, like we are a well-oiled machine in our program has the respect that it's supposed to have. And I really applaud Coach D on that, because he took a lot of bandits, right? Like guys who are just be just battered. Switch the mindset, and I honestly feel like we got to go back to the basics right now to turn the tide. Is that let's go back to the basics where we were having fun, but like let's figure out some things we got to pluck out to get back on track. That's why I wanted to tell that story because I remember we were all looking like, man, this dude is crazy,
right?
Like, this dude is nuts.
And low key, Coach D, he was a pool shark. You remember he come in and hustle and run in the locker room?
Yeah.
He did used to hang out in the pool.
He did, man. He used to run. Hey, if gambling was allowed, he would have stole a lot of people's money, man. And he talked that trash too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey guys, great show, man. Definitely. Look, JU, before we put a bow on it, do you have any final comments?
Just, Spartans got to come out. I think this is a very winnable game for us. We have to, like I said, Thorne and receivers have to communicate well. We have to run the football. Offensive line have to have that mindset of protect and get downfield. Protect or get downfield. And defensively, let's just play with some confidence. Let's play with some confidence. Let's jump around and let's have fun. Let's have fun. What do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? Have fun out there. Spartan Nation, come out, cheer on the guys, and let's get after it.
Yeah, I love it. And, this is, again, Spartan Nation come out. This is homecoming. Another great time of year. We're going to have the parade starting on Friday. We're going to have a Spartan Dog dinner on Saturday night. Hope to get out there and see some of the guys. And, we're going to be honoring some people at the Spartan Dog dinner. Is that right, Otis?
That's right, man. We're going to be honoring some legends who were, technically was our head coach through all the years of all the coaching changing and all the staffs coming in, coming out. There was one guy who remained, and we all know it, is our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Manning. So we're looking forward to it, to seeing him. We haven't seen him in a while, loving on him, giving him hugs, and his family as well. And so, one thing is for this game, man, is let's just have fun. Like, everyone needs to see the fun too. Like, let's just have fun. To Jay's point, nothing to lose mentality, us against the world, Spartan Nation, stand up. If you're on the team, be on the team. But if you're not, get off the bus. And it's true, it's true. Let's be with us. Let's rock and die. It's like Bad Boys for life.
Love it. Love it, gentlemen. All right, that'll put a bow on this episode. And for Otis Wiley and Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta. Have a good night. God bless, and go green.
Go white.